Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel Gurmantra Siksha Ka Granth. I am your educator Nidhi Dua and I warmly welcomes you at our platform. So guys, in previous lectures we have started electrochemistry and this is our last lecture that is based on electrochemistry, and in this lecture we are going to talk about two most important topics. Number one is Karash law and number two is Faraday's law. So without any further delay, let's begin our first topic, that is about Karash law. Karash law states that the equivalent conductivity of any electrolyte at infinite dilution is the sum of ionic conductance of the cations and anions given by the electrolytes at infinite dilution. Karash law tells us about the total equivalent conductivity of anions and cations present in a solution at infinite dilution. This is very important to note that Karash law always tells us about the equivalent conductivity at infinite dilution, and this infinite dilution is always represented as this lambda infinity EQ. Okay, this lambda EQ equivalent conductivity of solution is always equals to the lambda infinity of anions plus lambda infinity of cations, or in simple words you can say the equivalent conductivity at infinite dilution of a solution is equals to the sum of ionic conductance present in the solution. Now let's take an example to understand this equivalent conductivity. If you take the example of NaCl and you want to calculate the equivalent conductivity at infinite dilution, then the equivalent conductivity of NaCl will be represented as this lambda infinity EQ is equals to the lambda infinity Na plus lambda infinity Cl minus. These terms are known as ionic mobilities of anions and cations. The ratio of ionic mobilities of anions and cations is equal to their transport number. Now what is transport number? The transport number is the friction of current that is carried by a particular ion. This ion can be cation as well as the anion. So the friction of the current carried by an anion is termed as its transport number, and the ratio of ionic mobilities is equals to their transport number. As you can see here, ionic mobility is represented by lambda A for anions, and for cations this is represented by lambda C, and these ionic mobilities is equals to the Na upon Nc. What is Na and Nc? Na and Nc are transport number. Okay. If Na and Nc are the transport numbers of anion and cation, then Na is equals to the current carried by anion divided by total current carried. Okay. This is related to the anions. If you want to calculate the transport number of anions, what you have to do? You have to simply divide the current carried by anions to the total number of current carried. Similarly, in case of cations, if you want to calculate the transport number for cations, this will be equal to the current carried by cations divided by total current carried. And also Na plus Nc will be equals to the 1. That's why, as you can see here, lambda A upon lambda C is equals to Na upon Nc is equals to Na upon 1 minus Na. Because you know it very well, Na plus Nc is equals to 1 and Nc will be equal to the 1 minus Na. So this is very important formula. This will help you to solve some numerical problems related to this. Okay. Now the applications of Karash law. If you talk about the application of Karash law, this will help you to determine the equivalent conductivities of weak electrolytes at infinite dilution. And second application is to determine the ionic mobilities and absolute velocity of ions. So this was all about the Kharash law. Second topic is Faraday's law of electrolysis. Faraday was a scientist and he gave his two laws, and these laws are based on the process of electrolysis. Okay. Faraday's law of induction is a basic law of electromagnetism, predicting how a magnetic field will interact with the electric circuit to produce an electromotive force. So, the number one law of electrolysis of Faraday's is, this law states that the amount of substance deposited or dissolved at an electrode is directly proportional to the charge passing through the electrolytes. If a current of 1 ampere is passed for t seconds, the quantity of charge Q is in coulombs, and if W grams of substance is deposited by Q coulombs of electricity, then W will be directly proportional to Q and Q will be directly proportional to IT. Okay, what is W? W is the amount of substance deposited at the electrode, Q is the charge, and IT, I is your current, and T is your time in seconds. Then W is equals to Z, IT. Now what is Z? Z is the constant of proportionality and it is known as electrochemical equivalent. When you solve this equation, what you will get? You will get W is equals to EIT divided by 96500. What is 96500? This is the value for a Faraday's constant. Now the law of Faraday's, second law of Faraday's. This law states that the amount of different substances deposited at electrodes by passage of same quantity of electricity are proportional to their chemical equivalent. So Faraday law tells us that W is always directly proportional to E. If W1 and W2 be the amount of two different substances deposited at the electrodes and E1 and E2 be the equivalent weights, then W1 upon W2 will be equals to the E1 and E2. What is W1 and W2? W1 and W2 are the amounts of different substances. And what are E1 and E2? E1 and E2 are the equivalent weights of these particular substances. If you combine these two laws, number one law of Faraday and number two law of Faraday, then what you will get? You will get the formula as follows. W will be directly proportional to ITE, or W is equals to ITE by F. Okay, this is very important formula and this will help you to solve many numerical problems based on the Kharash law as well as on the Faraday's law. So this is very important. Faraday is the quantity of charge in coulombs requires to deposit 1 gram equivalent of substance. Now what is Faraday? Faraday is the quantity of charge that is calculated in terms of coulombs that is required to deposit 1 gram of equivalent of substance at electrode. And the value for 1 Faraday is always equals to the 96500 coulombs. This you have to remember. This will help you to solve many numerical problems. Now we have two questions based on Faraday's law of electrolysis. Number one question is, how many cc of chlorine will be deposited by 100 ampere current flowing 5 hours through melted NaCl? You have to calculate the volume of chlorine that will be deposited by 100 ampere current flowing in 5 hours through melted NaCl. Let's see the solution for this question. As you can see here, we have calculated the charge because as you know, W is equals to ZQ, and for finding the amount of chlorine, we need the value of charge. That's why we have calculated charge firstly, that is I into T. T should be in seconds. When you solve this question, you will get 18 into 10 to the power 5. And W is equals to ZQ is equals to E divided by the value of F into 18 into 10 to the power 5. When you solve this, you will get W is equals to 662.2 gram And as you know, the mass of chlorine is 71 gram. Volume of 71 gram chlorine at STP will be 22.4 liter. For the value of 662.2 gram, the volume of chlorine gas will be 208.9 liter. So this is the correct answer for the question. Next question is, the same current if passed through solution of silver nitrate and cupric salt connected in series, if the weight of silver deposited is 1.08 gram, calculate the weight of copper deposited. You have to calculate the weight of copper deposited. Now, according to Faraday's second law, as you know, W1 divided by W2 is equals to E1 divided by E2. W1 is the amount of silver that is deposited, that is 1.08 gram, and W2 is the amount of cupric salt. And E1 and E2 are the equivalent weights. As you know, the equivalent weight of silver nitrate is 1.108 and the equivalent of cuprous is 31.75. When you solve this question, you will get W2 is equals to 0.3175 gram. These were the questions based on the Faraday's law. Now a very important topic, that is electrolysis. Now what is the process of electrolysis? The process of dissociation of an electrolyte by the passage of electricity is called electrolysis of electrolytic dissociation. If you want to dissociate any electrolyte, you need electricity, and when you use electricity to dissociate any electrolyte in its further ions, this is known as the process of electrolysis or electrolytic dissociation. This process is always carried out in the presence of electricity, and during the process of electrolysis, electrical energy is always converted into chemical energy. For electrolysis to take place, we need two suitable electrodes. Two suitable electrodes can be cathode as well as anode, and these two electrodes should be immersed in the liquid. Why? Because for the conduction of electricity, as you know, the solution of the electrolytes always contains ions, and ions are the carriers, charge carriers that will help to conduct electricity. When an electric potential is applied between the electrodes, when you provide electricity in between the electrodes, the positively charged ion move towards the cathode and the negative ions will move towards the anode. The tendency of an electrode to lose electrons is known as its oxidation potential, while the tendency of an electrode to gain electrons is known as its reduction potential. Okay. If you want to learn simply about electrolysis, you can simply say electrolysis is defined as a process of decomposing ionic compounds into their elements by passing a direct electric current through the compound in fluid form. The cations are reduced at cathode while the anions are oxidized at anode. Okay. I repeat, cations are always reduced at cathode while the anions are always oxidized at anodes. Now a very important slide related to this topic, process of electrolysis of some electrolytes. Here as you can see 10 electrolytes are given, and these 10 electrolytes are very important because question can be asked from these 10 electrolytes. The product obtained at anode, when you do electrolysis of any electrolyte, question could be asked from these three series. Okay, for example, in case of aqueous NaCl, question could be asked, if you do the electrolysis process of aqueous NaCl, what you will get at anode and what you will obtain at cathode. So the simple answer is, when you do the electrolysis of aqueous NaCl, you will get at Cl2 at anode while H2 at cathode. If you do the electrolysis of fused NaCl, you will need the electrode of platinum or graphite, and at anode you will get chlorine gas, while at cathode you will get sodium. This is very important. And the other important one is your aqua CuSO4. In case of aqua CuSO4, you required a electrode of copper, and the product obtained at anode will be your Cu+2 ions, while the product obtained at cathode will be your copper. This is very important, guys. All the 10 electrolytes are very important. Question could be asked from all of these, any of these, but 3 of them are very important. This you have to memorize, this you have to remember. Okay. Now, in case if you are new here at our YouTube channel, please do like, share and subscribe. And if you have any query, you can mail us on tanejanehaofficial@gmail.com, or you can contact us on the given number. Now, a very important announcement. If you are preparing for CSIR UGC NET, you can follow Neha Taneja ma'am on Unacademy platform. On Unacademy platform, you will get daily life classes, structural courses, live test and quizzes, and with one subscription, you will get unlimited access. If you are interested, you can go through with this detailed paid classes, and after taking these detailed paid classes, you can use referral code NEHA, that is NEHA, and after using this referral code, you will get 10% discount on total fee. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you all like the video.